Hi, welcome to TechstackIO. This video is about introduction to Spring Boot, and we are going to see like what is Spring Boot, why Spring Boot, and how to use Spring Boot. Let's get started. What is Spring Boot? Spring Boot is an open source Java based framework for developing microservices. So Spring Boot is an extension to the Spring framework. With Spring framework, Spring MVC, we were developing RESTful web services, whereas Spring Boot is mainly targeted for developing microservices. Why Spring Boot? Spring Boot makes it easy to create standalone production grade Spring based applications that you can just run. So it's very easy to create standalone applications with Spring Boot. You can just develop the application and deploy it to productions. It needs very little Spring configurations. So with Spring MVC, we are all developing RESTful web services, which needs a lot of configurations. Let's say if you want to connect to database, you have to provide the database configuration details. But whereas with Spring Boot, with auto configuration enabled, you don't have to provide much configuration details. So it just needs only like very little information for configurations. There's no requirement of XML configuration for Spring Boot. So with Spring Boot, you can configure everything using Java itself. So there is no requirement for XML configurations. Spring Boot provides a radically faster and widely accessible getting started experience for all Spring development. So with Spring Boot, the development is very fast, and you can access getting started experience documents in the Spring website itself. So Spring supports embedded servlet containers. So with Spring Boot, you don't have to manage the application server separately. So it provides embedded servlet containers like Tomcat, Jetty, and Undertow. How to use Spring Boot? So the best way to use Spring Boot is to get started with Spring Initializer. So let me go to the Spring Initializer website. So as you can see here, Spring provides Spring Initializer for getting started with Spring Boot applications. So start.spring.io is the website name, and so as you can see here, you can select Maven project or Gradle project. You can choose the language like Java, Kotlin, or Groovy. So currently the latest version of Spring Boot is 2.3.0, so which is a stable version. So it's automatically got selected here, and you can provide all the details of the project here, the project metadata. Can give group name, artifact name, description of the project. So whether you want to develop this application as a WAR file or jar file. So the minimum version for Spring Boot 2.3.0 is like Java 8. So that's why we see here the Java version is 8. The minimum version. You can select up to Java 14. You can also select Java 11 here. So all this project metadata information, it goes to the pom.xml if you are using a Maven project. And in the right hand section, you can see like dependencies. So you can click on add dependencies, and it brings up a lot of Spring library frameworks that can be added to the Spring projects. So you can see like Spring Boot Dev Tools, which is used for live reloads, Spring Web for developing RESTful web services, Spring Data JPA for connecting to the database, Cloud Configs, so Spring Batch. So all those things can be added if you are developing Spring based application, Spring Boot applications. So yeah, that's all about the Spring Boot introduction. So in my next video, I'm going to talk about how to develop RESTful web services using Spring Boot. Thank you.